Alright, I'm going to teach you how to make egg tempera, and this is a painting I made with egg tempera. And I don't know if you can tell in the video, but it has a little bit of a shininess to it, a sheen. There, you can see it. And it has this glossiness from the yolk of the egg. So a long time ago, the best way that they could think of how to make paint that would really stick to something and hold and not wash away was to use an egg yolk as a binder, and that would help hold the pigment together and like latch on to what you were painting on. So if you were painting on a plaster wall, for example, using an egg yolk would help it really stick to the wall. If you've ever had eggs before and left your eggs on the plate, and then later on, hours later, after the egg kind of dried on the plate, tried to wash it off, and it was really difficult to wash the yolk off, that's why people use it as a binder, because it really holds tight to what it dries onto. So one of the oldest ways of making paint, people don't do it as much anymore because we just have more sophisticated ways of making paint now, but we're going to try it out. So it starts with an egg, but you don't want to use the whole egg, you really just want the yolk. And this can be a little challenging to separate the yolk from the egg white. Just do your best. If it kind of gets a little messy, it's okay, but I've messed up a few times. I'm going to try not to mess up this time. So some people tend to kind of do this half break the egg and try and let the white just sort of slide out. Alright, got most of it there. And then what some people do is once you got most of the white out, they'll actually plop the yolk right onto the paper towel and sort of roll it around to get all of that white off of it. Now the yolk is still has a little film around it, a little embryo to hold in the yellow part. So what you want to do is put it over a cup, and then you're going to kind of poke that little embryo to let the yolk flow out. So I poked a hole. Okay. And then what's left on this paper towel is actually kind of the little skin of the yolk. If you accidentally get that in there, again, it's not a huge deal, but that's trying to show you the official way to do it. So here we have our yolk in our cup, and as you can see, this is a fairly small amount of yolk for my paint. So you'll do smaller quantities at a time. That's why we're going to do a smaller painting to begin with. And here I have some water. So the yolk is my binder, the water is my vehicle. Remember, vehicles move, and so that's the point of a vehicle in paint, is it allows the paint to move. So you can put maybe about a tablespoon of water in that yolk and then just kind of mix it up. Almost so that it's the consistency of like a heavy cream. Alright, so now if I were to paint with just this, it would have a slightly yellow look to it. So this has no pigment in it yet, it's just the binder and the vehicle, the yolk and the water. You can see it has a little bit of a yellow tint to it, but if you spread it thin enough, it almost starts to go clear. So while the yolk does have some color to it, it's easily overpowered by our dye, or by our pigment. So I'm going to use food coloring, but we have a few different options in the classroom that we can use. So you can experiment with that. I'll show you those once we're in the classroom. So here I'll put a few drops of red in there and mix it up. So now this is officially paint. It has a pigment, which is my red food coloring, has a binder, which is my yolk, and it has a vehicle, which is the water. So now I can start to paint with it. Now if you start painting and you think, oh, I wish it was a little bit more red, all you need to do is add a little bit more pigment to it. The other thing that you could do is allow this to dry And it takes a little bit of time, it doesn't take too long, but allow this to dry and then you can start to layer different colors on top of it. So for example, this one is dry. I could take my red now and go over certain areas of this leaf. And that is essentially how egg tempera is used, is in layers. Okay. So you guys could share these pigments or these paints. So one of you could make a red, and then your friend sitting next to you could make another one, and that way you could share it instead of having to mix up your own color every single time. As far as how long this egg tempera will last, if we cover them up and put them in the fridge, they might last a day or two, but really it starts to not be as effective. It's best used right when you make it. So that's egg tempera. It's as simple as that, but hopefully that will help you remember how paint is made with a binder, a pigment, and a vehicle. Those are our three things for all paint. Has a vehicle, pigment, and a binder. Okay, good luck.